Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar. We are so delighted you're investing our time with us today to learn more about the all-new Webex Contact Center platform. I'm Zach Taylor, Director of Strategic Communications for Cisco's Contact Center Business Unit. I have the absolute privilege today of facilitating a session with our two guests, preeminent contact center analyst, founder of McGee-Smith Analytics, florally blessed, and the head of the contact center track at Enterprise Connect, Sheila McGee-Smith. Sheila, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate that. And our leader, Omar Tawakol, who leads up our contact center business unit at Cisco. He's been at the head of our team for the last 14 months. He joined us from an acquisition at Voicea, but Omar brings significant skills, a cloud-native background, building cloud applications, started a company called BlueKai, which eventually was part of Oracle's Data Cloud. And he has really been bringing his expertise and his team to allow us to excel in this new environment. So I'm so thankful for that, for those folks today. So with that being said, 54 years ago on December 29th, the famous Star Trek episode, The Tribbles, if you remember that one, was put on the air. And every show had something called the transporter. Well, you know what? We're actually in the future right now. They say that predictions are hard, especially about the future. But today, in 2021, in January, we are standing in 2023. Why do we say that? Because of the events of the last year have accelerated things that were going to happen, we believe, in customer care and contact center 2 years out have already begun to happen. And so it's a really dynamic time to be in this marketplace. But sometimes we have to look back to look forward. So Sheila, you have some great insights on how the year started and how it ended up. Can you share those with us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Zach. And hello, Omar. So I'm going to start with 2020, what we thought would happen. And this word cloud sort of highlights some of the things that we knew were coming. For example, the increased need for digital engagement methods and the ability to unify those with a voice agent when needed. And the virtual agents and the bots and the other types of artificial intelligence and machine learning were primarily in an investigation and early adopter phase. The move to the cloud was increasingly considered to be inevitable, but companies were allowing for a sort of 3-year, maybe even 5-year planning cycle. UC as a service and CC as a service were mostly considered to be separate decisions. And APIs and platform features, like AI often, were considered capabilities that might become relevant sometime in the future and worthy of investigation, but something, sort of down in the future. So what actually happened in 2020? As we know, it didn't go exactly as planned. But what's interesting to note is what we were doing in the contact center didn't change as dramatically as the urgency with which we ended up having to do it. So, I tried to show this in a word cloud, right? Yes, digital engagement was there when we started the year, but by the end of the year, it's become an imperative. The increased need for digital engagement became urgent as businesses moved to e-commerce, and shelter-in-place orders kept people at home in March, April, and May, and is sending home people again, right? Virtual agents were fast-tracked to handle unheard of interaction demands, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in the hour here. The move to the cloud moved from a 3 to 5 year planning horizon to how soon can we get that, right? And the dramatic increase in UC and CC were, that used to be separate functions. Now, with so many enterprises having everyone working from home, the ability to, communicate internally within a business became a bigger imperative. And so companies are looking for UC as a service and the other collaboration services and contact center to come closer, and for each to be able to use the technologies that used to be considered sort of siloed in each one. Great example is video conferencing. We never thought about it that much in the contact center, especially within the contact center itself. And now it's become a capability we really want to have. And finally, the ability to quickly redesign and customize customer experience became a necessity. And that's where a platform capability, APIs, became important. And now is really a required component for future deployments. Things that we thought we had 2 or 3 months to plan and change, now we really need to change much more quickly.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheila. So I think one of the things that's interesting about the contact center is it has a lot of complex technologies coming together to be able to support the customer. And so it's easy to get lost in the detail. What really, really matters about the whole industry is what you as a consumer already know. And so if you think back in the last few weeks, you've probably contacted some business trying to get an answer or a solution to something. And we are not, as an industry, where we need to be. We just need to get the basics right. And that's where a lot of the innovation is rushing towards. So let's look at what those basics are. If I want to contact you and I'm on the move, I should be able to contact you the way I want, whether that's text or whether that's Apple Business Chat, or whether it's through some sort of voice interaction or through email or Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. I need to be able to contact you the way I'm used to. So that's kind of the one really first entry point. And then the second one, which is the one everybody here is aware of, don't make me wait. Don't put me on long hold times and frustrate me and try to make it up with good music. It's not going to work. People just don't want to wait. They're busy. And then once they interact, hopefully you can make them not wait at all by giving them a voice bot or a chat bot or putting them directly through to service. But sometimes they're going to work with self-service. And if they're still not completely satisfied, they're going to be transferred to an agent. Don't make them repeat themselves. This drives people nuts because most of the time you're not only making them repeat themselves, you're trying 5 ways to make them prove that they really are Zach. They are Zach, I'm telling you. But once they've done that, they're still having to repeat all the things that Zach did before he got to that phone call. That is a frustrating part of the experience that has to go. And then finally, if you are going to transfer them to the agent needs support tools. Happy agents makes for happy customers. If they have to log into 10 interfaces and put you on pause, it bothers you, it bothers them. You won't keep them long, and then you have to retrain them. So enabling the agents with AI that helps them get to an answer faster and with collaboration that lets them connect to the right people to support you is what's needed. These right here are really the basics that drive the entire industry. And if we as an industry get that right, everything else will follow. And that is really what drove us at Cisco over 18 months ago to rethink a modern contact center platform and rebuild it for this new reality on public cloud with microservices and all of that. We took several hundred engineers over 18 months doing this. Obviously, we already had some of the most used contact center platforms in the world out there. But because the world was moving, a rethinking we thought was very necessary. And I'm really excited to announce that, we've in December, we went live with this new platform. And what this new platform does is it starts with a digital first experience. We know that the majority of consumers are not just calling, they're messaging and they're interacting. And so we redesigned it to be digital first. The other capability we had is we wanted to inject into the whole contact center the notion of the full journey and all the data captured around that journey so that you're having the full context at every step of the way. We also embedded AI into the new All Webex Contact Center so that you have AI allowing you to have bots answer and field interactions before they get to an agent so that fewer calls ever make it to the agent. Once it gets to the agent, AI helping the agent do their job faster. Once the agent's done, AI helping wrap up and coach afterwards. This is a beautiful area that is changing the economics from contact center. In addition to that, there is a strong movement of putting hands back in the business users for them to be able to change the way the contact center flows without having to engage professional services and some of the time not even having to engage a developer. So we'll talk about that and how that rethinking has been important and continues. And finally, this is a collaborative contact center. There are so many customers where the end problem isn't only solved by the agent. They have to reach out to a subject matter expert or somebody else in the organization. And those folks need to be reachable in the same platform via collaboration. After all, we are WebEx. We've been adopted by hundreds of millions of users in enterprises to do exactly that, collaborate. So really excited about how this is changing the industry and how we have now kind of modernized our platform rather than built on technology. It was already there. It's something that's we'd love for you to see it in action. So let's play that video.
Hello everyone, Carlos Guadamos here, Business Development Manager, part of the Cisco Contact Center team. And I'm going to give you guys a quick look at the all-new Webex Contact Center Agent Desktop. So what you see over here before you is me taking advantage of the ability to handle multiple interactions at once. Right now I'm actually on a chat interaction. And with this chat interaction, here in the middle, I could see the context that occurred between the virtual agent as well as the customer. So this allows the agent to continue exactly where that previous bot had left off. Over here on the right hand side, I have my contact history. And with my contact history, because I have my customer's email, I know the different times that he's contacted me, so I can see the emails that he sent as well as the chat that has come through. You'll notice that I was able to easily expand and contract this window. This is because the all-new desktop is web components based, meaning that you could come in here and configure this to the likings of each business unit within your company. You can also do things like expand and contract different windows if you needed to. And because the platform is really digital first in nature, we wanted to make sure that customers can contact you on the channel that they prefer the most. So in this case, it would be a chat, so something off of the web page. They also have the ability to contact you utilizing SMS. So if there was an inbound SMS, an agent would have all of the context of any previous discussions that were made between the business and that customer, again, so they don't have to transfer this over to someone else and continue exactly where that previous engagement left off. In addition to SMS, the platform now has the ability to interact with the social channel. And with the social channel, we're starting first with Facebook Messenger. Facebook Messenger will allow, just as you've seen with the chat and the SMS, will allow your agents to go back and forth. So they could say something like, sure, let me check. And back on that customer side, they would have a notification obviously coming on their app. And you would see that, sure, let me check. So you'd be able to correspond going back and forth on all these digital channels. And might I add that you can front each and every one of these digital channels with a virtual agent. So you can take care of that easy inbound traffic and start to lower all those interactions that are coming in. Let's also take a look at a voice interaction. So for this particular voice interaction, I'll start here with the IVR transcript. Understanding what was said between the self-service virtual assistant and the customer, and it gives me a summary. This person was calling about a balance check, and so I again continue exactly where that customer left off and provide them the necessary information they need in order to proceed in their customer journey. Speaking of customer journeys, here is our ability to look at all the different experiences someone would have as they interacted with the business. So whether it was at a touch point within the bank, maybe it was a web survey or an email survey, as well as an SMS, we can support that here. This really allows us to understand how this customer's journey has been up until this point, and even expands the knowledge of the business by understanding what happens well outside of the contact center.
Wow, it is one thing to talk about it, Omar. It's another thing to see it. And we just saw some amazing capabilities. Hats off to you and the engineering team for building out such incredible new applications that will help our customers serve their customers better. And Sheila, as we pivot to this notion of digital first, I just recall two things that caught my attention. Just this morning, I met with a customer, a bank. 23% reduction in in-person visits to their branches was great, but a 45% increase into the calls coming into their contact center. And another customer I met with last year, sometime April or May, closed all their physical brick and mortar stores. Big name, we all know the brand, and they still did 85% of the revenue that they normally did with all their stores closed, just doing omnichannel pickup at curbside. So tell us more about this whole digital first that we're experiencing firsthand, Sheila.
Absolutely. So I spoke about it as a change that we saw in 2020. Omar talked about it as a capability he felt he had to put into the new Webex Contact Center. But did it really begin in 2020? I think not, right? Retail apocalypse really started at the beginning of the last decade in 2010. And one of the reasons I've sort of highlighted here in this slide was the problem a little bit self-created. Think about the last time that you went into a large department store or you went into a mall. How easy was it to find what you wanted to do? How easy was it to find somebody to help you? I know I've personally spent many a long minute looking for somewhere to give somebody the money so I can just walk out of the store with the object that I want to buy, because cashiers are hard to find. So did the digital apocalypse come on the retail apocalypse because brick and mortar retailers were retailer centric and consumers had to conform their behavior to the retailer, and the customer came second? With e-commerce coming along, and we have to point to, the leader there, which was Amazon. When it became that decision everybody made, do I look on Amazon or do I go to a store? The e-commerce was consumer centric. We were in control. We could get it fast. We could get it more quickly. I think what stores are going to find is that using brick and mortar and e-commerce together is going to provide the exceptional customer experience that we're all looking for. And it's going to be very similar to, I think, what we're seeing in contact centers. It's that combination of digital and live experience that is actually the perfect combination. But it wasn't just in retail that digital became important. This is a slide of the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, announcing in the middle of the summer in August of 2020 that he understood we are at a point where we have to do better with digital government. We have to get city services to be as smooth and easy and as efficient as everything that you do online. And we're certainly seeing that even in the last couple of weeks with people as they attempt to get reservations or appointments to have their vaccines for COVID, and some of that not going as smoothly as it could. And so everything there, digital first, people are trying to do things online and then having to get to live people that they can't get because volumes are so high. So retail, digital, government, digital. And so it really becomes, over the last few months, it's digital everything. It's digital health, it's digital shopping, it's digital everything we do. And so the notion of adding digital first, which is how we're all behaving, of optimizing for that and doing that in WebEx One is absolutely critical. It's not WebEx One, it's WebEx Contact Center. WebEx One was your great event where you announced WebEx Contact Center. As we do that, as we create contact centers that are responsive to the digital first requirements of consumers, we can't forget that we also have to build omnichannel agents. Omnichannel agents are not born, they are made. And they are made by having applications that supervisors and managers can use that can evaluate the way agents have to work today. And it's completely different than a voice-only world. We need to adjust the evaluation tools so agents are assigned with diverse tasks, are rated according to what they're doing. The other thing we have to change to enable and build that omnichannel agent is to bring the information that they need about where a customer is on the journey that started inevitably on a digital channel of some kind, to bring that to the agent so that the agent is able to pick up where the customer left off instead of starting from scratch. As Omar was saying earlier, nobody wants to start from the beginning just because they have to go to a live agent suddenly. And so we have to help agents both with better workforce engagement management tools and also by giving them the data that they need to create that seamless journey for the customer.
Yeah,
turn it over to Omar to say what he's done to do this. What are you doing?
I will, but I really love that point you made about not losing context. If you remember the fish Dora from Finding Nemo, who only has a few seconds of memory, that's what your agents are going to appear like. If they've lost all their context, then they're starting from scratch every time. So we've rebuilt for this, really excited about it. What we've delivered is the ability for you to message any business as easily as you message a friend. I mean, think about the fluidity you have when you just open up WhatsApp or text or so on. Many businesses don't allow that. Now they can. And in addition to making it easy for the customer, there's two other important components. Number one, you have to make it easy for the agent. The agent shouldn't have to hunt and peck across multiple UIs and interfaces to figure out, was I just texting with this person and now they're on the call, or did I get an email? You need an inbox, and that inbox needs to have communications across all the channels, and you need to be able to see a customer interaction in its continuity. And the second component of that is, and we'll talk about that later, is the data supporting these interactions and other data that might not be a verbal interaction, but maybe they're at their website and they put something in a basket and they weren't able to check out to support that. So we've gone digital first. Of course, you can also call. We of course have fantastic capabilities there, but we really wanted to rethink one inbox, one set of capabilities so you can handle any customer across any channel. It's now live and adopted, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, well, that's really part and parcel of all the work. A lot of it was done at the agent interface. That's where the action's at. And Sheila, you and I know that over the years, as more automation has occurred in contact center, what's left over coming to the agents is more complex. These are outliers. It's really created the contact center into what we call this exception center. Puts tremendous pressure on contact center agents to be brand ambassadors. And so therefore, this whole idea or concept of super agents has arrived or come up in the marketplace. And I like to use a kind of a trite little term. I say, make the rest of them like the best of them. You have a Pareto in contact center of agent performance. And the whole idea of the super agent concept is to surround them with AI and other tools that move the performance of them one standard deviation to the right or two, so that they all perform as the best. So AI, is it practical these days, Sheila? Is it really making a difference?
Well, back in August, sort of halfway through the period we are in pandemic months, a colleague and I, Dan Miller from Opus Research, did a session during Enterprise Connect Virtual that was called AI in the Contact Center, from pilots to mainstream. And it harkens back to the point that I made earlier about we went from just having pilots and some trials to companies and very significantly government organizations understanding that they had to do something to handle the massive load that they had. And it wasn't just the massive load of interactions, it was also often a reduced agent workforce. I mean, in so many industries are being impacted by people out because they have to shelter, because they have to quarantine, or because in fact they're sick. And so there was a press to actually get AI into the contact center faster than we ever thought that it would happen. And it became a trial by fire. And luckily, it worked, right? We knew we had the technology. People like Omar had been building it for 3 or 4 years, Omar and Vinod. And so we found out that when push came to shove, we were able to perform, and we were able to help businesses and governments to get done what needed to get done. And so the AI that I'm talking about that really helped during 2020 and that people are realizing can have broader application really also optimizes digital first, right? Tying back to the earlier point. If I'm on a chat with somebody, what I want is that chat brought to the agent that I'm going to speak to live. But I don't want her to have to read the whole thing. I don't want him to have to do that. I want really great artificial intelligence and machine learning to pick up my intention and just bring the intention to the agent. So all of the technologies that you see here become part of the artificial intelligence that is helping companies not only optimize digital first, but bring to agents the intentions of the customer so they don't have to sort through everything. But how do we do that? How do we bring that content to the agent? Well, we bring it to them on newly designed agent desktops that bring to the agent things in an order, in a way, in colors that are two things. Number one, that give them what they need to do their job, but also, as Omar mentioned earlier, are very similar to the applications that they use every day. That there's some element that they can customize. There's some element, obviously, that the business can customize, but you don't have to train for it because it's how they know how to use applications. So our applications in the contact center look just like the ones they use in everyday life. And Omar's going to tell us what that looks like now in Webex Contact Center.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to hit on both topics there. First one, when you were talking about AI, at the end of the day, I like to think of it that if I'm a contact center and I have, 5,000 agents, and all of a sudden I know that I'm going to have a spike in business over the next few months. Typically what that meant is someone had to spike up and they were taking a double or triple load, so they had to move to 10,000 agents. With AI, you can be able to do that kind of massive spike and stay at 5,000 agents because you are now mixing virtual agents with real agents. So you're flattening the curve by saying, I'm going to take the high volume, easy queries, never put them through to the agent because the self-service chatbot or voice bot's going to handle it. Then what I'm going to do is, if some of them still need to go through to a real agent, to Sheila's point, you're going to use intent detection to understand what the intent is. And then you're going to use skills-based routing to get it to exactly the right person who knows how to do that particular type of thing you're calling in for. So that really gives you some efficiency. But then that agent comes in, they're able to read the transcript if they need the context, they have the intent, they're able to jump in and help the person. And when they're really not exactly sure what to do, the AI is still working and providing them with nudges, giving them ideas on what to do next. And it's been trained on knowledge bases. And to Zach's point about making it more democratized, you don't have to wait till everybody gets 12 months of training. The AI is speeding up their training by giving them the right answers live. So really important. What we've done here is we've launched with our own capabilities and with an integration with Google CCAI. That's a tight integration. So we have voice bots, chat bots, real-time transcription, live agent assistance, after call, wrap up, and really shortly, we're going to be doing some new things beyond all that via just through our APIs. So really important area. And of course, all this has to come through an intuitive interface. We've completely rebuilt our agent desktop, made it a lot more modern, extensible, so you can customize your own widgets quite easily, and you could bring in your other applications into the desktop rather than having them do a lot of this multitasking and switching and hunting and pecking. It's in one place. I remember when we were demoing it to one of our key leaders, and they were like, "Oh, but I really want dark mode," and it's just a button. You press it, flips to dark mode. Very extensible interface, and like what people are used to these days. Really excited about that.
Yeah, it's great stuff, Omar. And one of the things that was just really something that heartened me is when you came to the business, you brought significant colleagues with experience in AI, from development to design to intellectual property. It has paid huge dividends for us, and both organic and some of our partnerships, so that we can help our customers. So Sheila, every era in contact center, there's buzzwords, right? Buzzword compliancy. And I still remember watching the first TSAPI-based CTI screen pop for Boston Edison back in the day at $500,000. And now you can do that out of the box with a WYSIWYG. But we hear the terms no code, low code these days. And this all speaks to the notion of customizability. Why is that important in this era?
So what's interesting is now we hear what you just said, and it really is a term that came to everyday business people probably only in the last 18 months or so, but it's been used by IT professionals for longer than that. And essentially it comes down to building tools, building orchestration tools that allow business people to make the changes that they need or want to make in their applications much more quickly. So no code means just customizable, just be able to make certain changes on your own. Probably similar to what Omar talked about with going to dark mode. As a baby boomer, I don't think I'd ever want to go to dark mode. That's a personal choice. But for me, yes. But to allow either users or the business professionals to do that and not have to have IT involved. And low code is using APIs that have been made available to, again, quickly combine applications or make changes that the business wants to make. And the goal is not, a new toy, right? Although some IT professionals may see it that way. It's being able to do things to get to market faster. It's being able to iterate more quickly when something changes in the business, to be able to be responsive very quickly, and to increase stakeholder and engagement and satisfaction. So instead of IT doing things and then presenting them to the business owner, both of them working together in front of a screen often and making those changes almost in real time.
Absolutely. And if you just to extend that to me, speed is life in business. It's all about how fast we respond to the changes and the learnings we're getting from our customers, particularly in a contact center, because contact center is a signal that something somewhere else needs to change. So it's very important that you can respond to that. If you were in the premise world, responding to that was excruciatingly slow in comparison to what you can do today, because if you needed a new capability, you needed the new version to come out, and sometimes that was in kind of yearly timeframes. Cloud changed that, and so it moved to more like quarterly timeframes. But even there, sometimes you have to wait for the business to expose via some sort of setting in a configuration panel the changes that you need. And how that's changing today is that people are really starting to go API first. Before it even shows up in some setting in some configuration panel, your API allows developers to change things. So their cadence is now more along the lines of monthly. And why do I say monthly? Because sometimes you have to wait a month for a developer to free up to be able to do something, even if they could theoretically do it today. And that's where low code, no code comes in. You don't have to wait for a developer. You've democratized access so anybody who's in the business can go in and change a flow. And if you think about all technology adoption, that's really the curve it takes. The further down you can democratize it, like we're able to all hold these massive supercomputers in our hands now, the further you can democratize it, the faster things move and the more innovation that you're able to bring to bear. So if you look at what that means is we've built a flow builder that's embedded in the system so that you can change the flow of a call, and you can play a recording or add a voice bot and deflect it in a certain way, route it in a certain way, put it in a certain queue. All of this very easily without developer access. So we're going to continue to move in this way in everything we do. It's never easy enough. In other words, we thought everything we've done, we've made it way easier, but you're never done when it comes to that. And now we have a audience that demands that ease in the business user. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, Omar, one of I think the biggest impacts the new team has had is the focus on API first, API centricity. This is critical for us because we are partner centric, and our partners need and love APIs because it allows them to add value on top of what we've built. So Sheila, you and I have been talking about something for years where the whole business becomes a contact center, and it's always sounded like something out there a ways, but we're actually starting to see this. Now, one of the things that's ushered this in, of course, is that right now somewhere between 60 and 90% of contact centers are sitting at some residence somewhere globally. But this idea of a handoff between the front and back office and these exceptions that can be handled by a team of people and people swarming around a problem in a first contact resolution scenario, I think is gaining ground. What do you think?
Well, just like subject matter experts and collaboration has been something we've been talking about for years, working from home for agents is also something we've been talking about for years. But before cloud, we didn't have great technology for it. And there was also resistance on the part of supervisors and managers. Will it work? Well, another thing that happened during the pandemic is another trial by fire, and that was working from home works. But it wasn't seamless, especially in the beginning. So again, back in March, I did a webinar for Enterprise Connect, and the title was 1 million plus agents working from home. What could possibly go wrong? And we found lots of things could go wrong. There was a great article in the Wall Street Journal that talked about a consumer who was speaking to her mobile provider and suddenly thought she heard a rooster. And so she asked the agent, "Do I hear a rooster?" Yes, there was a rooster on the call because it was somebody who was working out of the Philippines, working from home on the family farm, and that's the way life was. But other things went wrong as well. The ability to reach out to other people in the business became even more important than it had been before. It always was important for an agent to be able to quickly message to a subject matter expert or reach out to a supervisor or a manager in a back channel. But often the tools that we made available to agents did not include these simple collaborative tools. But with those agents working from home and an inability to sort of raise your hand or go like this and say, "I need help," you needed a technology way to do that. And so the need to bring together collaboration and contact center finally got the level of attention that I think it probably always should have had. And Omar did it.
Thank you. Speaking of roosters, my favorite thing is to be in these video meetings and see everybody's pets, do things in the background. It is, this whole work from home has been challenging for the contact center. But to the collaborative topic, you're spot on that so much of the contact center is moving beyond. I was actually just speaking to a major enterprise right before this, and a large number of their calls are deflected, straight to the SMEs. So it's increasingly important that the collaboration tools they use as subject matter experts is also available to the contact center, so there's a continuity of discussion. And what that means is you want to be able to have video meetings, you want messaging, you want it integrated with the same calling that comes through to the customer. And one of the companies that really did this well was T-Mobile. T-Mobile was highlighted in a Harvard Business Review article about this idea of rethinking the contact center as teams. And the teams were supported with experts that had everything from the folks who would answer the interactions to coaches to technology experts and SMEs available throughout. We are Webex. Of course, our business is used by hundreds of millions of people in enterprises for precisely calling and meetings and messaging in one app. That is also part of the contact center offering. And we think it's going to be an increasingly important piece of what we do.
It's interesting, Omar, when we're getting RFPs these days for new capabilities, a new term is starting to show up that I'm hearing. Instead of best of breed, which we've been through, I'm hearing best of stack. They're looking at calling, meetings, contact center, and they're evaluating that in the context, as for our next slide, basically, of a collaborative contact center. Sheila, one of my favorite stories regarding context involved the Battle of Waterloo, when Wellington went at it with Napoleon. And people in England were concerned about what was the outcome, and a message came across into London, and it said Wellington defeated, and everybody went bonkers. What? And then a few minutes later, the rest of the message came in: Wellington defeated Napoleon. Context is so important. So why is context so important for contact center agents in an exceptional world?
So as we move to more digital first, which we're already there, as consumers, we're already there. It's the problem we talked about earlier, that agent needs to know the why, where, when, who, what, and how about what that agent has done in the past. And not just on this journey, but how important is this agent, this customer, to the business? And all of that can be brought to them in these brand new interfaces that are being built by companies like Cisco. But we have to be analyzing the data in the background to be able to do that. And so context really starts bringing together so many of the themes that we talked about today, bringing artificial intelligence, bringing integration to other applications, primarily CRMs, but other types of applications as well. It's about the interface and how we bring that information to the agent. And so all of those things working together is what we're talking about as context. And Omar's going to sort of talk about how he did it in Webex Contact Center. By the way, I do recognize that Omar has a huge team behind him, but he's my personification of Webex Contact Center.
I'm glad you clarified, because I stopped writing code a long time ago, and the team is fantastic. Though I do love writing code. So contextual, the reason it's really interesting and important is if you bubble back to the customer experience, they don't want to repeat themselves, and you should also know what they didn't even state yet. So all the context in their account, maybe they're a premium customer, maybe they started a transaction process, didn't complete it online, you need to know that. And that data is available. The whole marketing industry went through this whole change, over a decade ago, where they built these platforms called data management platforms that would capture all the data across all the channels and make it available. This is now starting to hit contact centers, and they're called CDPs, customer data platforms. As you saw, the acquisition of a company called Segment was like that. What we've done at Cisco is built a pure API approach here. And what it allows you to do is capture all the data you need across the journey. And then we embedded it in this product that we already had called Experience Management. And Experience Management was all about tracking aggregate customer interactions and individual customer sentiment across all different channels, so that you as a management team can understand what's broken, what you need to fix. You make decisions of what to fix based on data, not based on the highest paid executive in the room. And this is a whole voice of customer effort embedded in the contact center. And we've had this available in the platform for over a year, but now it's embedded in the Webex Contact Center. We went one step further, and it's a capability we call CJAS, which is Customer Journey as a Service. And it's essentially very much like the Segment approach to the world, which is capture data via an API across all the points of interaction of the customer in and outside the contact center, make it available, and then read it out to any application that needs it in real time, so you can do the dynamic profiling that you need to run your business, and so that your customer doesn't have to repeat themselves, and so that you can help predict the next best action for that customer. We've done this in an API approach. We encourage all our partners to jump on this API. It is a very exciting area for us and for our customers. So if you wrap all of this together, what we've done here when we've rebuilt the platform is we started with making all the channels available so that you can interact in any channel you wanted to. We empowered the agents with new interfaces that are more seamless for them, so they didn't have to do so much context switching. We provided AI that would allow you to be much more effective, essentially becoming super agents. And then we embedded in context so that we were able to give you the full journey. And if you needed to change something with it, we gave you flow builders and APIs to make it easy for the business user. It's a new world. We're really, really excited about where we were. Let's hear from a customer and see their perspective about all of this.
Wow. It really feels like Cisco custom built this application for OceanX. Our agents aren't always looking at the WebEx app. They may be on another screen doing something else. And so having that alert pop up in front of everything else and say, hey, you got a chat over here you need to deal with, or an SMS, it's great. That's going to help reduce our average initial response time.
Omnichannel, customer journey, the AI capabilities that come with Cognitive Contact Center could prove to be powerful for Cisco Contact Center clients.
One of my favorite features is the flexibility that's being built into Finesse. Agents are able to move their screen around and change the landscape of where their windows sit. We all use our platforms and our tools differently, and allowing the end users to customize how they see their screen is really empowering.
Some of the cool things we're looking forward to, obviously SMS, social media, that's where customer contacts are going. So having the ability to do all of that on one platform, amazing for us. Also flow control builder. So anytime you're going to give me more ability to build things for clients, it benefits us and it benefits clients.
I'm excited about this new offering. There is so much here that is going to benefit our team of experts and our customer excellence centers.
It's good to see Cisco heading in the direction of consolidating features into a single view for their customers.
I'm really also excited that in addition to launching this new platform, we announced back in December the intent to acquire IMI. IMI is a public company in the UK who really has focused on end-to-end customer journeys and allowing messaging for businesses. They essentially make it easy for anybody to message a business as easily as they would message a friend, because they've enabled capabilities like WhatsApp, Apple Business Chat, Google RCS, embedding in mobile apps, so on. So we are adopting their omnichannel capabilities in addition to the ones that we already had, embedding it in our platform. We've also extended our flow building capability because their flow builder was more extensive in its channels, and it was able for you to create flows across all those channels. So we'll be embedding that. They also have a bot framework that comes with that. So we're really excited with what they do. And this next area of interest with IMI is that they are essentially what I call enterprise CPaaS. So if you are using a enterprise platform, like the contact center with Cisco, with IMI's capabilities, your developers will be able to customize through APIs. In addition to the APIs that Cisco has, they have a very extensive suite of CPaaS APIs so that you can make changes to communications via API or through the low-code builder. So just summarizing what that means is the Cisco IMI solution is really about customer experience as a service, because customers can message on any channel of their choice. The agents will have one interface to be able to handle all these interactions, and businesses can change those flows very easily in low code, no code, or API interactions. So Cisco plus IMI is really going to accelerate how we move to a more digital, more fluid, more smart contact center, and really excited about it. So Zach, why don't you take us home?
Thanks, Omar. And in conclusion, I really would like to thank both you and Sheila for being part of this. I've always found that you rise or sink to the level of the people you hang around with. So when I'm with people like yourselves, I learn a lot. So thank you for that. And as Einstein said famously, the questions may be the same, but this year the answers are different. So hopefully you might have learned some new answers. So what would we like you to do now? Well, there's 3 steps we'd like you to take. First of all, there's a terrific white paper written by someone named Sheila McGee-Smith called 4 Journeys, 1 Destination, that can be found at the URL you see on your screen. It's a free PDF download. It's about 4 customers who wanted to go to cloud and how they got there from different starting points and ended up in the same place. We have built a tremendous amount of content and capabilities for you to see at Webex Contact Center. So visit cisco.com/go/WebexCC. You'll like what you see there. Hats off to our marketing team. And then look out for an upcoming webinar where our CTO, Ryan Plant, will be deep diving into the architectural underpinnings of Webex Contact Center. And you'll get a look under the hood of really how modern and how wonderful the work that has been put together to get us to where we're at today. So in conclusion, everyone, please stay safe. Thank you for spending some time with us today. We know you spent some time investing your time with us. We trust we made it valuable. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
The board, there's so many ways that technology can be used to end poverty, to help these girls. One is through online education, but we need a way to track it, to manage it, to work with the girls, and to continually kind of improve on it. When you allow a girl to stand on her own 2 feet, either through education, opportunity, exposure, whatever, you can raise a community. My mom, who has just recently passed away, she lived in